Hi guys, thanks for joining us today. And today we're going to be talking about firearm malfunctions. Malfunctions are a need-to-know thing for a successful relationship with your firearm. And the more you know about it, the more successful you'll be in training scenarios and real-life situations.
We're going to cover a few of the most common malfunctions that we see on the range, and we're going to go over how we fix them as we train for real-life scenarios. However, if you do see the same malfunction happening over and over, then it will be time to slow down and actually figure out what's going on.
Okay guys, the first malfunction we're going to cover today is failure to fire. Failure to fire is when the trigger is pulled and the firearm fails to fire. Considered a click, no bang. A good example of failure to fire is typically caused by the ammunition, but it could also be caused by damage to the firing pin. To clear this malfunction, keep your trigger finger straight off of the trigger at all times. Also, keeping the firearm pointed downrange in a safe direction. Pull the slide to the rear and clear the ammunition that did not go off. Then, allowing the slide to go forward, feeding the next round into battery. Alright guys, and the second malfunction we're talking about today is a failure to feed. Failure to feed is when a firearm fails to feed the next round into the chamber. A good example of this malfunction is known as a double feed or a tip-up caused by a faulty magazine. To clear this malfunction, again keeping your trigger finger off of the trigger at all times, always pointed in a safe direction, press the magazine release, but also pulling down on the magazine, not fully relying on the release button. Rack the slide twice, then inserting the magazine back into the firearm. Once this is done, you will rack the firearm slide once more, loading a live round into the chamber and be ready to go. And the third malfunction we're talking about today is failure to extract. Failure to extract is when the spent casing of the last round fired is not properly extracted from the chamber. A good example of this is more often than not, failure to extract is a problem with the extractor pin itself or a problem with the ammunition. A very dangerous ammo failure is called a squib. A squib occurs when the projectile leaves the casing but does not leave the barrel. What makes this so dangerous is sending another round down the barrel with a projectile still stuck inside. It can lead to a catastrophic failure, causing the barrel to expand and even possible injury.
Now, squibs are not a common malfunction with ammunition, but it's important to know what that might look, sound, and feel like so that you know when to take the proper safety precautions before moving on with your training. A lot of times when you have a squib in your firearm, some of the powder will be burning outside of the chamber. It could be a white plume, it might not be. One of the things that will happen is you'll notice that there's less recoil, if there's any at all. You're going to hear more of a pop instead of what normally sounds like the round going off, and there's not going to be any rounds hitting on target. In order to clear a possible squib, you're going to want to remove all the ammunition from the firearm. Lock the slide to the rear. Find a clearing rod and make sure that you can pass the clearing rod all the way through the barrel, through the chamber, and you can see it in the extraction port. If your failure to extract is not a squib, then the most common way to correct that malfunction is the same way that you would correct a failure to fire malfunction.
And the last malfunction of the day is failure to eject. Failure to eject happens when the spent casing is properly extracted, but it's not ejected from the firearm, causing a failure to feed the next round or to go into battery. The cause of a failure to eject can be the firearm malfunctioning or simply the user not holding the firearm firmly enough, or what's called limp wristing. Not as commonly, the issue can also be caused by an ammo malfunction. But the most common type of malfunction in this category is what's known as a stovepipe. To clear this malfunction, ensure your finger is off of the trigger while this clearing method is being performed. Holding the firearm firmly in one hand, place your non-firing hand on the top between the rear sights and the jammed round. Slide the hand in an upward flicking motion, making sure your hand does not cross your line of fire. This will send the casing flying, causing the next round to fall into battery.
Now this is a method that we recommend doing some training with before using it with live rounds. If you're not comfortable using this technique yet, then another way to clear this is simply holding the firearm tight with your firing hand, making sure to keep your finger off the trigger, pointed in a safe direction at all times. With your non-firing hand, you're going to pull the slide to the rear, hold it to the rear, making sure that you've cleared the empty casing, letting it fall forward, putting the next round in the battery and moving on with your training. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. We are now over 300 subscribers on our YouTube. So we just wanted to take a moment to say thank you for tuning in. Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
And remember, run your drills, not your mouth.